We're live. All right. This is episode 114 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. The Bengals season is back on track, and they're looking to cement that with a win over Baltimore this week. The Browns are hoping to give themselves a leg to actually stand on, and I say that as both of our teams are 2-2. It's just, things feel a little bit different on each side as they host the Los Angeles Chargers. Finally, Thomas, the Steelers' playoff odds currently sit at 19%. Because why, Thomas?
The Pittsburgh still suck. Kenny Pickett sucks. Pittsburgh sucks. The funniest comment ever. Oh, Kenny Pickett's in. Oh, he threw an interception. Oh, he threw another one. Oh, he had 3 of them.
Okay, I got really nervous for a second. I was like, oh my God, is there a game on right now? Like, I thought you were serious. Yeah, no, dude, I got a few things to say about Kenny Pickett at the end of the episode. Like when we do the state of the AFC North, I'll have a few things to say about Kenny Pickett. So if y'all are interested in hearing my opinion on Kenny Pickett's first game, stick around to the end of the episode. But anyway, Thomas, we as always, we want to focus on the Bengals and the Browns because this is the Battle of Ohio podcast. Oh, speaking of which, okay, do it again. The Steelers have a 19% chance of making the playoffs because why, Thomas?
Because Pittsburgh still sucks.
Damn right.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
Too bad we too bad we do the show live now and I can't edit that out. I'll get it eventually.
If you notice, I actually moved spots.
Did you? I noticed you moving around at the bottom there, like in the studio.
No, I moved completely spots.
Get out of here. Yeah, like
Too bad we're live now. We can't edit. You swatting at a fly.
No, that's what that actually might be good content. I'm like Walter White. I think I made that joke last week, but I think I made that joke off air last week. So, all right, so let's get started with the Bengals this week. I would say they have a significant test facing them this week. I mean, as significant as any test, really. Obviously, the last 2 weeks, the Ravens have looked a bit vulnerable, but I think the key is the Ravens have only really looked vulnerable at the end of games lately. Like, don't forget, the Ravens jumped out to a huge lead on the Dolphins, and they jumped out to a huge lead on the Bills, and they blew both of those leagues. But the point is, the Ravens are still a very dangerous football team. So if the Bengals can find a way to beat them this week, that's going to be huge for who the Cincinnati Bengals are as a football team.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think the Ravens, I think there's a lot of problems with the Ravens. I don't think they're a good team, quite frankly. I think they got a good quarterback, but I don't think they're a good team. Solid coach, but it kind of feels like Lamar Jackson has to do everything. And a team-based league, team-based sport, you can't force somebody to do everything. So I really just like this game for the Bengals because, like you said, the Ravens, what they're doing is that they have been doing a good job of getting off to these big leads, but they're blowing these leads. Team, they even, I'm pretty sure they even blew a lead to the Jets they let the Jets get a lot of second half points, which means that teams are adjusting to them in the second half pretty well. They're not adjusting to the team's adjustments. I really like our chances.
Yeah, I think I think it could be a good game for the Bengals. In particular, I want to note that the Bengals have in fact beat the Ravens 82-38, a combined score of 82-38 over their last 2 meetings. So, wow. That's something that
I own the Ravens the last couple games.
Yeah, Joe Burrow in general owns the Ravens. There was like that first meeting he had with them didn't go so well, but outside of that, Joe Burrow pretty much owns the Ravens. Yeah, part of the reason for that is Joe Burrow had huge games. Obviously, he threw for like 41 points, but part of the reason is because I think Lou Anarumo has devised a good strategy that a lot of teams I think are starting to copy now when it comes to facing the Ravens. But I think Lou Anarumo has the Ravens figured out. Because his strategy is pretty much what I've been saying for years needs to be the strategy with Lamar Jackson. I'm glad somebody in the NFL finally figured it out. Man, wouldn't it be cool if Lou Anarumo listened to the Battle of Ohio podcast and I gave him the idea? That'd be interesting. But that idea is that you gotta focus more on making Lamar Jackson throw the ball. If you can take away the run game, because you got to focus. He's so good on the run that you got to find ways to slow him down on the run. And if you can stop the Ravens' ground game, you can force Lamar Jackson into situations where he has to throw the ball. And Lamar Jackson is a fine passer. But he can be a bit of an erratic passer sometimes, and he'll make mistakes with the ball if he has to do it enough times. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of teams have been doing lately to come back on the Ravens is they realize that, if you put Lamar Jackson in a situation where he has to throw a ball, there's a decent chance that he's going to make a mistake with it. And you got a much better chance of slowing them down. And this is all chances and percentages. Obviously, Lamar Jackson can beat you in the air if he needs to, but the chances are much higher that you're going to come away with a positive play if he's throwing the ball than if he's running the ball.
You know what's funny to me about the Ravens, and it's crazy. Ever since Lamar, with the exception of his first season, because that was the rookie season, he came in late in the season. If you notice, every single year, the Ravens do the same thing every single year with the Lamar Jackson regime. They started off hot, and then at the end of the season, they tail off. Last year, they had the same exact record as the Browns, with Baker Mayfield with half an arm. And before y'all say Lamar Jackson was injured, before Lamar Jackson got injured, they're on a steady decline, because it's worth mentioning that Lamar Jackson threw just as many picks last year as Baker Mayfield. That's something that happened. And he played less games than Baker Mayfield did. This man threw just as many picks as Baker Mayfield and played less games than Baker Mayfield, which tells you something. So what I see what happens with this Ravens team is that they start off hot and then they get caught in the year. Kind of like how they're blowing on these leagues, because teams start to figure them out. They have this wild, unique strategy, and then people figure them out. Well, now this year the pattern is kind of different. Teams are already figuring it out. It's only week 5. So if they're already 2-2 and they're 2-2 by an inch, how we say the Browns and the Bengals should be 4-0, I think the Ravens should be 1-3. So, if they're just 2-2 by an inch already, and this team is known for getting worse as the season gets on, I don't know.
Well, that is a good point, but you could also make the argument that the Ravens really could be 4-0. With an MVP level Lamar Jackson, if they had just finished off their last 2 games. They looked really impressive those first 2 weeks, and they looked really impressive through half of the game the second 2 weeks. It's just, obviously what happened, but the Ravens really honestly could be 4-0 right now, kind of like how like you said, the Bengals could be 4-0 right now. But I think the difference here is the Bengals definitely did not look nearly as inspiring in their first 2 weeks.
I just feel like they made a lot of critical errors. I feel like they made a lot of critical errors against the Patriots. I watched that Patriots game. I was just like, man, both of these teams are so beatable. And it wasn't the fact that Patriots were shooting themselves in the foot. They're going to take advantage of those errors that the Ravens were making. Regardless of the fact, I think y'all want to beat the Ravens this week. I know I'm not supposed to say that right now, but whatever.
I actually found a really interesting stat that gives me confidence about the Bengals' ability to play at the Ravens. But the Ravens actually ranked dead last in right now in the NFL. They actually rank dead last in passing yards allowed, with 1,261 already allowed on the year, and they're tied Right, their secondary is terrible. They're tied for the 5th most passing touchdowns allowed with 8. So what is the Bengals offense good at doing? Passing the ball. You know, the running game is awful. The running game is awful right now, and I like we need to figure out something to fix that. The passing game is good, and if the Ravens' weakness is passing defense, then I mean the Bengals could potentially put up a lot of points. Don't forget how many points we put up last year. Like I said, 82 points through 2 games. And it was an even split too. It wasn't even like there was one game where it was like 20-something points, and the other game it was like, just an insane number of points. Now this was an even split. They were both like 40-point games.
I mean, the only good quarterback they faced was hold up. Who they played? They played the Jets, Joe Flacco, right? They played Mac Jones. And then who else they played? Who's the third? Who's the fourth team they played?
Well, they played Josh Allen. They
lost. I got Josh Allen.
They were kicking Josh Allen's butt in the first quarter, and then.
But you're dead last in passing, and 2 of the teams faced was Mac Jones and Joe Flacco.
You could actually I think I could be wrong about this. I don't really remember now, but it might have been Zach Wilson week 1. No, it was Joe Flacco. I remember because that was a big storyline. Joe Flacco going to face his former team.
Who's the fourth team they played?
The team they played last week?
No, they played the Patriots, the Bills, the Jets, and who else?
Dolphins.
Who?
Dolphins.
That
was Tua Tagovailoa's big comeback. Now I will say,
so I'll give you that one.
Part of the reason that they've allowed so many passing yards is because like the Bills and the Bills and the Jets, like we said, the Ravens almost blew a lead in week 1 to the Jets, but the Ravens, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills, they all had to have these massive comebacks, so they're passing the ball. They're put in situations where they have to pass the ball a lot more. So that's probably part of the reason why the Ravens have allowed so many passing yards, is because that's just going to happen. But at the same time, I think their secondary was awful last year, and I think that's a big part of it this year.
No, I just think they're just bad. I just think they're just bad on the road.
So if the Bengals beat the Ravens, and I'm getting this information, by the way, from my new favorite toy, which is the what is it called? The Upshots NFL Playoff Simulator on the New York Times website. They've got they tell you what your chances, like your percentage of chance to make the playoffs based off of you pick the games on the schedule, and then it kind of like shifts what's the chance to make the playoffs if this happens and that happens. By the way, hashtag not an ad, just a fan. I'm nerding out with this thing. I think I found this last year near the end of the season, but they got this at the beginning of the season right now, so I can just play with this all day. I can and will play with this all day. My family will never see me again because I found a new toy. But the Bengals currently have a 65%, or no, sorry, the Bengals currently have a actually don't know what the Bengals' current. Oh, no, I can just click the button here. So the Bengals currently have about a 50% chance to make the playoffs right now, which is impressive because it was 26.5% like 2 weeks ago when they had that 0-2 start.
I mean, yeah, but Thursday night football helps. Home games and Thursday night football is the greatest thing to ever happen.
Especially
schedule a home game Thursday night football. Yeah.
Especially when your quarterback is Joe Burrow and not Andy Dalton. Because if it was Andy Dalton, we would have lost that game because of prime time.
Hey, man, look. The Browns haven't lost a Thursday night football game in 4 years.
Well, that's great for you, but your quarterback isn't Andy Dalton.
And two of those wins
in prime time.
2 of those wins were against the Steelers. You suck, Pittsburgh.
That is a good thing. Even as a non-Browns fan, I'm down with that. But the Bengals odds, like I said, they're at about 50% chance to make the playoffs right now. And actually, if the playoffs ended today, the AFC North would be sending 2 teams to the playoffs, and that would be the Bengals and the Browns. The Browns would be the division leaders, and the Bengals would be the wild card team.
Yeah, the playoffs started today, the Browns will win the division. But it's crazy. So when y'all beat the Ravens, if the Browns beat the Chargers, and y'all beat the Ravens, I'm not sure how that tiebreaker would go, but I think I might get it.
Well, if we beat the Ravens, our odds jump to 65%. And actually, if the Browns lose, like if the Bengals win and the Browns lose, and that it's actually 68% chance to make the playoffs. Now, I mean, if the Browns win, it stays at 65%. So I mean, it's like it doesn't. It doesn't. If you guys win, it doesn't really change much of our chances to make the playoffs. It kind of, I think, kind of shifts a little bit, like the chance to win the division, but like it doesn't change our ability to make the playoffs because we're in good position for the wild card if we beat the Ravens.
Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna make the wild card because again, I keep on saying this. A 9-8 team is going to make the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, that's great. We're not going to be 9-8, and we're going to win the division. I'm telling you that.
Y'all going to be way better than 9-8. I'm just saying, a 9-8 team is going to make the playoffs. I've been screaming that for the rooftop. I'm like, hey, a 9-8 team is going to make the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, Thomas, you're crazy. I see that in offseason. That's what I love about football because people are such overreactors, and they like to crown people in the offseason and all this BS. And it's just like people always look backwards in football, never forward, because most people in football are dumb. Yeah, I said it. Let's be real. Most of you are idiots.
Well, I mean, most people are just like fans. Most people don't really get into the nitty gritty of it. We're weird.
So, like, it could be a 40-year-old, or it could be a 37-year-old who's on the last leg of the career and looks like they're deteriorating, and they'll be like, "Well, they threw 35,000 yards over the last 15 years of the career. They're one of the best quarterbacks in the league." No, this mofo is 37 years old and is going through injuries and is holding their team back. No, well, you know what I mean? Maybe this guy is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league still. No, man, he's old. He's old. He's deteriorating. He needs to retire. He got all kinds of injuries. No, man, this guy threw 35,000 yards over the course of his career and won a Super Bowl. This guy's going. This guy has to be a starting quarterback. Even though he's injured, he's old, he's deteriorating. That guy's Ben Roethlisberger. So we can tell y'all that he sucks all you want. But because he has this great history, he's still great. No, he's old. He's old. Get over it. Not 2005 no more. George W. Bush ain't the president anymore. Kanye West ain't making crazy statements about Katrina no more. He's making crazy statements about. I don't know what Kanye West making crazy statements about. He making crazy statements about everything now. God, Kanye
was not prepared for a Kanye West reference, but fair enough. Let's move on to the Browns, though. So the Browns really, after losing to the Falcons, which yikes, the Browns need to bounce back against the Los Angeles Chargers this week, and their playoff odds right now are actually sitting at 36%. Even though they're currently leading the division, their odds are at 36%. If I'm betting, that has something to do with like teams they're favored against going forward. But if they beat the Chargers, that number climbs to 51%. And if they lose, it falls to 28%. So, the Browns really, like, they got a lot to gain and not a lot to lose. Like, their odds only really drop by about 3% if they lose this game. But they skyrocket if they win this game.
I'm actually really confident about this. I'm actually really comfortable about this game. First of all, you talk about bad defenses. One thing that excites me about this game is Chargers don't really have a good defense at all. Another thing the Chargers don't have is they don't have a really good offensive line. The only problem is that I think Myles Garrett's going to be fine. I think Myles Garrett's going to come out. He's going to be good. We don't have Clowney. I wish we had Clowney. Like, that would be big. But Jordan Elliott looked good. Good. Tommy Togiai we gotta get Tommy Togiai in a better position. Elliott looks good though, I'll tell you that for sure. The thing about the Chargers that the reason why I think the Chargers are so beatable is one, they got blown out by Jags at home. The Texans, they had a big lead against the Texans, and they allowed the Texans to come back, who, in my opinion, is the worst team in the league. You think it's the Panthers. I think it's the Texans. but whatever. They're probably both bad. We're comparing bad apples and bad pears here. Both of them suck. So let's be real here. But they allowed them to come back. The thing that really bothers me the most about this Chargers team is it seems like there's chaos in this team. It seems like there's chaos. There's no structure. You got injured players all over the place. You got a weak offensive line. The thing that concerns me as a Browns fan is Austin Eckler. In fact, I'll even go as far as say Eckler scares me more than Herbert does. Considering the fact that Herbert, if I'm not mistaken, is Allen even playing next week?
Is who playing?
The receiver.
Oh, Keenan Allen. I don't know. Don't know actually. Let me check.
So the Browns have some really good corners when they're not blowing coverages because they're arguing with each other. Joe Woods fired. This is a winnable game. This is a winnable game.
So
it's a very winnable game, and it's at home.
There is no news currently on Keenan Allen. It's also Wednesday as we're recording this, so I mean, I wouldn't necessarily expect that. I mean, unless it's like a devastating injury and like he's going to be out for multiple weeks and stuff like that, I wouldn't necessarily expect to know until probably Friday.
In order for the Browns to win this game, Myles Garrett got to have 2 sacks.
Fair.
And like we're talking about Myles Garrett's sack. The reason why I say that is because I want to see Justin Herbert's jersey get dirty. Get Justin Herbert's jersey dirty. Make that little pretty boy from California feel the Cleveland atmosphere.
Isn't he from Oregon?
What?
Isn't he from Oregon?
I mean, he's hurt.
What? No. He was born in Oregon, I believe.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He was born in Oregon, I believe.
Yeah, he was.
You called him California.
Well, no, he's in Cali though.
Do what?
He was playing in Cali.
No, he wasn't. He was playing in Oregon.
He's playing in Cali right now. Oregon ain't Cleveland. Oregon ain't Cleveland. I'm sorry, man. Oregon is cool and everything, but Oregon ain't Cleveland, man. I ain't afraid of no duck, no gopher, no beaver, whatever the heck is the freaking. We went over this. Oregon people in Oregon are soft, and I can say that with my chest because y'all so freaking soft, Oregon. When has anybody ever been afraid of somebody from Oregon?
Oregon's full of lumberjacks, dude.
They're oh my God, I'm so scared. Hey man, look.
Tell one of those lumberjacks. I'll tell you that right now.
Tell one of those lumberjacks to walk down St. Clair at night. You're like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I will walk through the entire state of Oregon. Okay, now look, there are certain people in Oregon that I would stay away from for certain reasons. But other than actually no. There's not a spot in Oregon that I'd be scared to walk through. There's not a single spot in Oregon, even like Oregon's hood. I'd be like, oh, this is the hood in Oregon. Here goes some orange juice. Oh, orange juice. Here goes some kiwi juice. Oh, I didn't know that, man. Kiwi juice. That's that Oregon shit. You want to go fishing? Yeah, I want to go fishing. Soft ass lumberjack. No, Oregon sucks, man. Oregon sucks.
Thomas, you're a treasure.
Come on. I think Myles Garrett get 2 sacks on him. That's how I win the game.
All right, then.
But, I mean, like, the thing is, though, the thing that scares me is the fact the Browns proven last week they can't stop the run. Mm-hmm. They let 2 no-name running backs tear us up, and the Chargers do got a nice running back, and I wouldn't want to get in a fight with that guy.
Well, you are lucky, Thomas, that the Chargers actually ranked dead last in rushing yards this season. They've got the worst rushing offense in the NFL. And Austin Eckler's a good running back. It's just the Chargers have been putting it on Justin Herbert, which in fairness, Justin Herbert's actually been having a solid season. He's only got like 2 interceptions so far. And I mean, Herbert has been killing it, to be fair. He's also hurt. So, there's something to be said about that. But like when I was looking up how this game might potentially go, I did notice that the Browns have a terrible, like the Browns like bad defense is mostly because their running defense is awful. their passing defense not too bad. But I mean, that's actually a good matchup for the Chargers because the Chargers just quite simply don't run the ball a whole lot.
Interesting.
And I mean, they might, knowing that you guys have a bad run defense, that Brandon Staley might work it into the game plan. But I know their run blocking hasn't been particularly good either.
And we might be, man, and it's a home game. I really love our chances this weekend. You know, another thing that we're not talking about?
What's that?
Is how the Browns had statistically the fifth best offense in the league. Now, whether that's full goals or not, because the Lions have the best offense in the league, and trust me, I ain't taking the Lions offense over the Chiefs offense, but Bengals offense. Trust me on that one.
Lions are pretty damn good offense, man. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a problem, and so is T.J. Hawkins. I mean, they got weapons. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're nice. But, I mean, like...
I wouldn't take Jared Goff over Joe Burrow or Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
But, I mean, I would take Jacoby Brissett over about 10 quarterbacks in the league.
I wouldn't take Jacoby Brissett over, like, 29 quarterbacks in the league, Thomas.
But he's leading the fifth best offense in the league right now.
Kevin Stefanski's a good coach.
Thank you for saying that, by the way. Because people like me and you, we think that, right? We're like, hey, man, this coach right here, he's amazing. This guy is nice. I like this. Like, watching Kevin Stefanski play calling, you're like, this formation is great. It's magnificent. And then they're like, the defense break down. And then I'm like, man, Joe Woods need to be fired. People are like, we need to fire Kevin Stefanski. Like, what's wrong with y'all people?
Well, Kevin Stefanski did hire Joe Woods, to be fair.
I just feel like, I mean, like, and by the way, if you're a Clevelander and you think Kevin Stefanski should be fired, you're stupid. Like you're just plain stupid or over emotional or both. In fact, here's my biggest problem with Clevelanders in general. And like, I'm not afraid to call out my own fan base because Clevelanders are stuck with especially the older generation. They have this such loser mentality and this such loser mindset that plagued them when they were kids. Oh, the drive and the fumble. Dude, shut the hell up with driving the fumble. Like, that was 30 years ago. And that's they cry. Dude, they cry about that every day. Can you imagine crying about something that happened in the 80s in football?
I mean, I still cry about, like, Jeremy Hill fumbling the ball in 2015, but I think it's a little different.
Look, man. Look.
At 2016, actually.
Look, man, the Guardians are in the playoffs right now, man. I don't care about the fact that they blew a lead in 2016. If they were in the World Series, they made the World Series, I'm going, we blew a lead in 2016. I'm not sure we can win. That's how Browns fans think. That's how if you ever play a sport and you get another shot to win the very next day, if you go in a mindset thinking that, I lost yesterday, so I'm probably going to lose today, if you have that mindset, you defeat yourself before you can play the game. That's my problem with old school Browns fans, the 80s Browns fans, is that they're stuck with this loser mentality. I actually talked to my uncle earlier today, and he was like, man, I was like, yeah, the Guardians have a playoff game this weekend, and the Browns have a football game this weekend. They could be playing, the Browns, the Cavs, and the Guardians could all be playing a home game on the very same day this weekend. That's a real possibility. So I'm like, all right, so it's an exciting weekend. The Guardians could beat the Rays, and the Browns could beat the Chargers. My uncle's response is they're probably all gonna lose because it's Cleveland. That's so illogical. What does the fact that it being Cleveland have to do with the logic of the fact the players? The players are the people in control of their destiny. The players are the ones who are in control. And the fact of the matter, every single person that played in the 80s have been playing football for at least 20 years. So why the fuck are we still talking about it? Fair. It's illogical, it's stupid, it's ignorant. If you're stuck with that mindset, you're idiotic. You're stuck with a loser mentality. You have no progression in your life. You refuse to look at statistics and facts, and you just stay in your own rut because you have no thinking capacity to think beyond what is reality. Reality is always changing. Reality is always growing. Things are always evolutionizing. Things are not like the 80s no more. Shut up and evolve or die. Those are the two options. Evolve or if survival would have finished. Okay? Shut the fuck up. If we lose, then cry. But just shut the fuck up, please. Shut the fuck up, y'all. Enjoy the moment, please. God.
I'm getting the raw Thomas Stargell right now. Not that you're always raw on the podcast, to be fair.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean. I don't. You know, I don't hold back.
That's fine. That's good. I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you don't. All right. So about a half hour into the podcast, let's go ahead and move on to the predictions.
Yes.
So
sorry.
So that's it. I'm excited too. But just to wrap up a little bit, I think the Browns have an opportunity to beat the Chargers. It's really going to the thing is Jacoby Brissett is going to need to come play with his big boy britches on, because like one of the things the Chargers are really, really good at this year is rushing the passer. Now the Browns, to be fair, have a really good what the hell? The Browns, to be fair, have a really, really good offensive line, like pass protecting offensive line. So I mean, there's plenty of, I think, you know, it's like, you know, strength against strength in both cases, really. On the defense, it's like it's strength against strength on the offense, and then on the defense, it's strength against weakness. Or I guess it's still strength against strength. It's strength against strength on both sides. Like the Browns versus Chargers is really a game that's going to be all about strength versus strength. Both teams, like the Chargers have a really good pass rush. The Browns have a really good offensive line. The Chargers have a really good passing game. The Browns have what the Browns struggle with is the running game, not the passing game. They actually have a pretty decent pass defense. The Chargers have a really bad running game, or maybe an underused running game. That it might be more like that. And the Browns, that's where they struggle most on defense. So it's really just going to be like, you know, who can push the hardest. So that's really what this game is going to be about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game. You know, it scares me about he had two chances to win a game. In the last minute of the game, like honestly, he had more than enough time to come back against the Falcons. He even scored a touchdown, not just a field goal. And he threw a pick. So obviously Jacoby Brissett is good and playing within his abilities. But when we're trying to push him outside of his abilities, he's not good. And that's what scares me the most.
That's fair. All right, let's go ahead and get on these predictions then. So let's just let's start with the Thursday night matchup. It's going to happen tomorrow. You got the Indianapolis Colts going against the Denver Broncos in what might be the single most boring, dumb Colts versus Broncos game we've ever seen in our lives. Like, I mean, like these are two teams. Like back in the day when the Colts played the Broncos, that was an interesting matchup. Now it's awful.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. You got two quarterbacks and two new systems. You always talk about quarterbacks taking time to learn how to use the system. So I agree with you. That also trying to be for the future, kind of, sort of, for being real. But I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I just think I hate picking the Broncos right now because Russ might be washed. But the only thing is that I think Matt Ryan's washed too. So I'm going to the Broncos.
That's fair. I am also going to go with the Broncos. And honestly, it's not a tough decision for me. I know that Russ is struggling, but that the Broncos defense is pretty damn good. Pat Surtain might be the best cornerback in the NFL right now, just like point blank. The biggest key for me that makes this just not really much of a thought, I think it's pretty easy to pick who's going to win this game, is the Colts have one thing going for them, Thomas. You know what that is?
What?
Jonathan Taylor.
Yep, that's it.
Jonathan Taylor is, arguably maybe the best running back in the NFL right now. If not, he's definitely like top 3. And I don't remember exactly what the it's an ankle injury. Okay, I heard he tore his ACL, but Jonathan Taylor could be out for a decent amount of time with an ankle injury. I guess if it's not an ACL, he'll probably be back this season at some point. But without Jonathan Taylor, the Colts are basically nothing. And they don't have Jonathan Taylor this week.
Yeah.
The Broncos, well, they certainly struggle on offense from time to time, more often than from time to time. I think the Broncos defense is going to have a field day, and the Broncos offense, honestly, I don't think is going to be needed very much. I think, like Matt Ryan's going to be relied on more to do more, and he's another guy who I don't think is adjusting particularly great to his new system. It doesn't help that he's pretty old too. So I could totally see the Broncos really kind of like going hard this week on like forcing turnovers and like playing like winning the game on defense alone. Honestly,
yeah,
it's not going to be a very exciting game to watch unless you like defense. I do like defense, but I'll probably still watch. Well, no, it's a Thursday night game. It'll be the only game on, so I'll still watch it. I might have fun. I like defense.
I'm definitely gonna watch.
Yeah, so. I think most people will watch, but I think a lot of people will also be like, this game is boring. And it's like, well, good defense. I like defense.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be a very defense battle. I think the Broncos will find a way to score more points.
All right, next, you've got the Miami Dolphins going up against the New York Jets.
Obviously, Tua's not playing.
Tua is not playing, yes. I am not. I'm not entirely sure if Tua will ever play again because he's being advised quite a bit right now to retire. Now I don't know if I seriously doubt he will, but it could be a while before he's back.
I think we're going to see.
But Teddy Bridgewater's a good backup, dude.
He's a good backup, but McDaniel's a good coach. I think we're about to see a collapse of the Dolphins. Like do I have to explain why?
Well, I actually kind of disagree with you, so go ahead.
You guys kind of disagree with me, huh?
Well, okay. I don't agree with the word collapse. I think that's a little too strong. But go ahead and explain what you mean.
All right. Do I have to? Okay, fine. We talk about chaos, operating in chaos. There's a lot. There's in the NFL locker room, somebody who's a Browns fan. I know how quickly a locker room can turn on somebody. You had this young quarterback who looked like he was going to take the team to the promised land, and he gets hurt like that. And there's probably a lot of questions going around that locker room as well as the environment around the coach. Why did you let Tua play? Especially if there's an injury that might have a side. So you can do two things. You can either respond by rallying around the team, or you can respond by crumbling. I don't think long term that this is sustainable. They might, Teddy Bridgewater is not a bad quarterback, but obviously long term, the Dolphins season's over, especially if Tua don't play for the rest of the season. If Tua don't play for the rest of the season, the Dolphins are over. I'm not a believer in Teddy Bridgewater, not in the slightest bit. I like their weapons, but it feels like you're gonna get ahead of Dolphins quickly. And even with that said, I'm still gonna take the Jets.
You're picking the Jets?
Give me the Jets. I was actually thinking about going back with the I'm like, maybe I should go with the Jets. Give me the Jets.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pick the Dolphins here. And I'll tell you why. So I do agree that I think, like, if you watch my power rankings, you'll know that I tanked the Dolphins on my power rankings because of losing Tua. Like, I do in fact think that losing Tua, that's going to hamper their season pretty badly. But Teddy Bridgewater is still a decent quarterback, and Mike McDaniel, I think, is going to push the team towards rallying around this injury. And I think I don't think that they're going to be like super competitive with. They're going to be more like a mid team with Teddy Bridgewater. But I think a mid team beats the New York Jets. That's the thing. So, I mean, I could still see like right now, I don't necessarily think the Dolphins like immediately crazy reaction. The Miami Dolphins don't immediately look like a playoff team, but I think they could still make the playoffs. They could turn things back around and make the playoffs with Teddy Bridgewater. It also depends, I guess, on how long Tua's out. Tua's, like I said, Tua's probably not going to listen to people who are telling him to retire just because, if he was going to listen to people who tell him not to play or whatever, then he wouldn't have, played in that game in the first place. So I think Tua will be back eventually. He'll be back probably in the next couple of weeks. I think the Dolphins are going to be, ultimately fine, but I also don't think they're going to be as good as they looked through the first couple of weeks. So I think they're going to take a tumble. I don't think it's going to happen this week against the Jets, though. I don't think the Jets are very good. I think the Dolphins will beat them.
All
right. So next we got the Texans traveling to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Wow, that was great analysis, wasn't it, Thomas? Texans bad, Jaguars decent. All right.
Jaguars good, Texans bad.
Yeah. That's the kind of analysis y'all come for, isn't it? All right. Next, we got the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Who you got?
Chiefs.
Okay.
Chiefs good, Raiders bad. Okay, by the way, the Raiders do. Let me give the Raiders credit. The Raiders do play the Chiefs close every single time they play them. But something about this Raiders team just screams bad.
See, I don't necessarily think the Raiders are bad. I don't think the Raiders are good necessarily. But I mean, they beat the Broncos, and the Broncos did okay on offense that day. So I think the Raiders got off to a bit of a slow start. I think they might ultimately be fine, but again, it's like with the Dolphins. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen this week. Like with the Jets, I think the Jets could, the Dolphins could potentially collapse. I don't think it's going to happen this week. The Chiefs, or rather the Raiders, I think they could get things turned around, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
I think the Raiders are, they are what we thought they are. Nah,
I thought they were pretty
Raiders,
good.
think about it though. They had that one season with what's his name, where Derek Carr went off and they won 12 games or 13 games, made the playoffs with Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. And then they've been a 9-8, 8-18 ever since. So even last year, the Raiders made the playoffs because they beat the Cleveland Browns by a field goal. Not just any Cleveland Browns team, a Cleveland Browns team that was derived from COVID and had Nick Mullins as quarterback. Beat them by a field goal. A field goal.
2016 in Amari Cooper's rookie season. They
made the playoffs last year, and they got not a set first round by y'all. So,
Wait, hold up. Did you just say got upset in the first round?
No, they lost in the first round.
I thought you said upset. I'm like,
No,
I'm pretty sure we were the better team.
They're an average team. The Raiders are an average team. And that's exactly what they are. As they've been for the last 5 years. They're an average team.
Right, but I don't think they're a bad team. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're just average. Okay. They're that kid. You know how every classroom has a John? John. John is always average. Nobody just likes John. He's just John, John. Hey, look, what's up? What up, John?
John, I hated John when I was in school.
Some people hate John.
John was a dick, dude. He was a bully.
Yeah, but there's never, but John ain't making an NBA. My boy Terry's making an NBA, but John ain't making an NBA.
No, that John's definitely not making.
John ain't dating a cheerleader.
John's like 5'6", I think.
John might have a nice girlfriend, but he ain't dating a cheerleader.
Okay.
John's John's okay. John does everything right. He don't piss anybody off, but he don't make anybody happy. That's the Raiders. The Raiders are John. You are John. Average ass football team.
All right then. So next we got the first place in offense, Detroit Lions, Thomas. Like the best offense in the NFL belongs to the Detroit Lions. and also the worst defense in the NFL. Somehow. But the best offense and the worst defense on the same team is the Detroit Lions, and they're going to New England to play the Patriots. What you got?
Play the Patriots.
Yep. Or did I say New England or New York?
Did they play them in New England?
Yeah, it's in New England.
Give me the Lions.
Okay. That's fair.
What's the Lions record?
Right now it's 1-3.
What's the Patriots record?
I can't possibly be right. According to this, it's
regardless. I'm making this my big upset. So making this my big upset of the week. Give me the Lions.
Okay.
Because I think the Lions' offense is going to stay efficient. I think, like you said, the Lions got a lot of weapons. I like their running back. I like their core. And I don't think the Patriots can score points. So give me the Lions.
Yeah. Patriots are both teams are 1-3 right now for what it's
Damn, I can't make it the biggest upset of the league. Anyway, give me the Lions.
We're early in the season, and the NFL is just so even right now. I don't know if there is such a thing as a big upset right now, to be honest. But
I'm not making an upset anyway because I got another game in mind for upset. But
okay.
Give me the Lions.
Taking the Lions.
Okay, why you say that?
I think in this particular situation, I don't really know who to pick. So just for the sake of being contrary and having some, not picking the same teams all the time, I'm going to pick the Patriots here. Partially because they're the home team, and yeah, that's kind of it. Actually, I wonder what's going on with Mac Jones. I might change my mind depending on what's going on with Mac Jones. Mac Jones practices, believes he can play versus the Lions. If Mac Jones plays, I think the Patriots beat the Lions. That's just kind of how I feel about it. We'll see if the Lions can keep up their insane offense. I don't know if they – I think it might be a bit of an early season fluke type thing, but I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to pick the Patriots. So next we got the Tennessee Titans traveling to D.C. to play the Washington Commanders. What you got?
Titans because you suck, Carson Wentz. All right,
sucks too.
I just talk about statistics and history and living in the moment. Titans because you suck, Carson Wentz.
Look, I'm going to agree with you. Like it's going to be the Titans because you suck, Carson Wentz. Like Carson Wentz is awful looking right now. Like for that first week he looked all right, and then they just a whole lot of nothing after that. So yeah, I'm going with the Titans here too.
It's phenomenal. I've been able to say that since the beginning of this podcast. Like and the thing is that when I first started saying that, he wasn't really in most NFL circles considered a bad quarterback or a mid quarter. He was considered one of the young up and coming quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And we just watched him digress as time went on, as we continue to make this podcast.
Yeah, I thought Mac Jones was going to be like the Patriots picked him in the first round. I'm like, what? Like why is he a first round? Like what on earth makes him a first round quarterback? I felt like he'd be a solid pickup for some team in the second round, but first, I don't know. I don't believe in Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones a fine quarterback. He's like a Kirk Cousins type quarterback, right? He can make some plays and he's pretty good, like to have as your quarterback who's gonna like if you don't really have any other options, Mac Jones is fine. Kirk Cousins is fine. But to make him your first round quarterback, to say that, this is the guy who's going to take us places, I don't know about that.
I agree.
All right, so next we got the New York Giants, the recently no longer undefeated New York Giants traveling to Green Bay to play the Packers.
Ooh.
The Giants have 3-1 teams.
The Giants have to look good, but I want to take the Packers. Even though the Packers got issues, they're not a juggernaut, but still, Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. Give me the Packers. So
Thomas, and I don't even know if this counts, but like I said, I don't know if anything really counts for this right now, but I'm going to sort of make this my big upset of the week.
That's a good pick.
I'm going to go with the Giants.
Good
Now, once again, we're so early in the season that, like, is there really such a thing as a big upset of the week right now? I don't know. But I mean, these are 2 3-1 teams. You know, like writing off the Giants and calling them like an underdog, that big of an underdog. But it is also in Lambeau, and you know the Giants are good, but I think they are a little overrated. But I also think like the Packers looked like against the Patriots last week, the Packers looked like they had a lot of problems, dude. And Saquon Barkley is like tearing it up right now. That Packers run defense, I think, is not going to be received very well by Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to tear through him.
Saquon Barkley looks really good right now. I'm very happy for him. I'm really happy for him because I really like that kid. I really do hope he carries it up all year. That's a good pick for upset. That's a really good pick for upset.
I've got this. I'm just skeptical about the Packers right now, you know. I'm always going to be skeptical by any team that's quarterbacked by Daniel Jones, but like Saquon Barkley is overcoming Daniel Jones right now. So it's like, are they really quarterbacked by Daniel Jones, or are they quarterbacked by Saquon Barkley? I mean, he did throw a touchdown pass.
You know what bothers me about the Packers, and this is going to sound crazy, is Aaron Rodgers. I think he's just too much of a drama queen. And I wonder, like,
lately
he's a phenomenal quarterback, but like, how long can he be like that before he starts pissing people off?
I think it's already pissing people off.
That's my whole point. And so you know, I mean, you know, I just wonder, like, I don't know, man. What was he? What did they say? He was like, he was throwing players under the bus and stuff like that, or he was getting receivers' faces and stuff like that. I don't know.
He's done that through his whole career.
Yeah, I know, but how long can you continue to do that before people go like, all right, man, you gotta stop doing this?
Well, especially if you're not finding success, which I mean, they won, but barely. But anyway, let's move on to, because I mean we're like almost an hour into this podcast, so let's kind of keep it moving here. Got the Chicago Bears traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings. What you got?
Vikings.
It's fair. I'm gonna pick the Vikings too. I think it was just better. You know, Justin Fields. I'm not calling him a bust yet, but I am saying he's not looking too good.
He is the Ohio State quarterback. I had faith in him too.
Yeah.
I had faith in him too. I had a lot of faith in Fields.
I said, you know, from the beginning, I was like, Justin Fields is a very talented human being, but talent isn't always, you know, going to make you succeed in the NFL. I mean, you have to have the mentality for it. And it's not just, you know, working hard. It's also being able to, like, you know, process everything and understanding the game and stuff like that. I mean, you know, like that's gotten in the way of so many talented quarterbacks in the past in the NFL. And I think I don't know if Justin Fields quite has that.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we got the Seattle Seahawks traveling to New Orleans to play the Saints.
God, that's tough. Like, those are like two like teams where I'm like trying to get a good read on. Like, who do I trust more, Geno Smith or Jameis Winston? Basically asking me. You go first.
Is it Jameis Winston right now? Because like it was Andy Dalton in London.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think it was a benching thing. I don't know who's going to be playing in this game.
Is it Andy Dalton? Give me the.
Yeah. It sounds like there's actually a good chance that Andy Dalton's going to play in this game too. Because of Jameis Winston is working on the rehab field.
I mean, Andy Dalton's a veteran quarterback.
Well, so is James Winston. And so is Geno Smith, for that matter.
That's true. Funny how time flies. Give me. You know what? I'm trusting Andy Dalton to win this game. This is for you, Kyle.
That's my boy. And I'm picking my boy this week. You know? I don't like, I mean, like Geno Smith has been better than expected, but the Seahawks are still no like juggernaut by any means. So yeah, I also think the Saints, especially with it being at home, you know, I think I think Dalton's going to come away with the win. All right. So we got the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers. I think actually I don't know if it's in because of the whole hurricane thing. I don't know if it's still like I don't know if like the Tampa Stadium is still like out of commission or whatever. But either way, the Buccaneers are the home team.
I always joke about those the people who got on the internet and said, "Oh yeah, we're not afraid of hurricane, yeah, whatever," and now their house is in the water. But that's not funny. Like I really pray for those people right now because there's a lot of uncircumcised,
what?
There's a lot of impoverished people.
There's a lot of uncircumcised people out there. That's a problem.
A lot of uncircumcised.
I don't know what that. Hey, what do you got on the brain, Thomas?
Think about hurricane. Chill. I can't survive this hurricane.
You got a hurricane going on in your brain right now, I think.
Look, let me say this. First of all, Tampa Bay's gonna win this game.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, just get that out the way. Okay. Tampa Bay's gonna win this game.
It's fair.
I agree. But be safe, Tampa. Like I feel for you. If you're in the bad situation, your house flooded or whatever, I do feel. Like I don't wish down nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a hurricane, leave, man. Leave. Like for the millionth time, if the National Weather Survey and Waffle House and the president tells you to leave, leave. All right, look, Square Table Degenerates. Love to see you here every single time. You're a gangster. Love your podcast. Shout out to your podcast. We just touched on that. Cal thinks that Tua isn't coming back for possibly his career, or he should be done. I think he's done for the season, personally.
Well, I think he should be. I don't necessarily think that means he will be done, but he's definitely not coming back this week. I think he's already ruled out for this week.
Yeah.
And as far as your other comment, I can't really answer that too much, Thomas. I think that one's mainly for you.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hey, you know what? Look at this, kind of funny. Like, okay. The reason why it's funny is because they were literally on the internet going like, "Oh yeah, hurricane. We deal with this all the time. Oh yeah, hurricane. This is Florida. We ain't afraid of a hurricane." There were literally people with their house flooded. They're just dancing in the water, like, yeah. And now like these Red Cross commercials on the internet, like, give us money. Really, I'm broke. Give me money.
That's fair.
I got to deal with snow.
All right. So next we got the 49ers traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. I'm not thinking too much about this one personally, but I'll still let you go first.
All right. Kyle, you're gonna find me in a very humbling moment. This is gonna be a humbling moment for me. I was wrong about Baker Mayfield.
I am the really real Thomas, the really raw Thomas.
Oh, that would hurt. Give me the 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers. Panthers are terrible. Now I still think that Baker Mayfield could be fine, but not in Carolina.
I mean, they've got horrible coach. But either way, that Carolina team's bad.
I Okay, so Joe, for what it's worth, I don't agree with people saying that the Hurricanes is an offensive name, but with I can see how some people might come to that conclusion with all the devastation caused by hurricanes and stuff. It's a little awkward when you just had like a massively destructive hurricane, and then you're like, go Canes, and then everybody's like, well, now hold on, wait a minute. So like, I mean, I agree with you. I know where you're going with this, and I agree, but I'm also like I also kind of understand where people are coming from.
Oh, he's so right though. Like think about it though. Like like think about it though, right? Like they're called the Hurricanes, right? So the Miami Hurricanes are on national television. Oh, and the Hurricane just got a touchdown. Will you right back with you after this commercial break? Miami has just been devastated by this hurricane. Half the city's underwater. Please donate to the Red Cross. Supported by the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, you see, I don't personally think that it's particularly offensive. I can see how people come to that conclusion, but it's definitely awkward. Like it's definitely awkward. Like
Okay, look, let me say this. You know how funny? Like it's not funny, but it is. Because those hurricane commercials, one of them literally show a video of a boat harbor, like $1 million boats, hundreds of $1,000 boats being destroyed. Oh my God, your yacht's been destroyed. To quote the great Dave Chappelle, who quoted the great Rick James, buy a new one, motherfucker.
Hurricanes for hurricane relief. That would be that's something else. But yeah. So
I'm sorry. Look, legit. There are people hurting over that hurricane. People who are truly hurting over hurricanes. Seriously, like I feel for you. I'm sorry. Right? It's real. It's very real. I feel for all of y'all. Like seriously. Like get better, Florida.
You know who I feel for? And this isn't, I'm not trying to be insensitive or whatever, but you know who I feel for? Dak Prescott. Because he keeps having this problem where, he gets injured and then the guy behind him comes in and like plays really, really good. And I'm not saying that there's a quarterback controversy between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush. I'm just saying Cooper Rush is making himself known. He's got a game coming up against the Super Bowl defending champion Los Angeles Rams this week in Los Angeles. So what do you think is going to happen, Thomas?
Rams.
I already kind of used my big upset of the week, but I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one. Like,
Cooper Rush don't look bad.
Cooper Rush doesn't look bad, and honestly, like I think the Rams are erratic, right? Like you can never really, and they were erratic last year. That doesn't mean I don't think that they might not go back to the Super Bowl. It's just like last year they were crazy erratic and eventually made it to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I think the Cowboys kind of on a roll right now, and the Rams are kind of up and down. So I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one.
They're getting older, man. The Rams are getting older. Definitely getting older. That's not a bad pick for upset.
It's fair, Joe. That's fair. Nobody's wishing any harm on Florida, but it's still, like I've always felt like if you can't find humor and stuff, then, what good are you? Like, I nearly died back in 2011. I had brain surgery. And the first thing I requested when people came into my room to visit me was like, please make as many jokes as you possibly can. Because, like, if everything's just like all super freaking serious all the time, then I don't know, just it creates bad juju, I think.
Yeah.
And not the one who plays for the Steelers. Although he actually doesn't. He plays for the Chiefs now. Can't make that joke anymore. All right. So we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. Partly because I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is a good coach. And secondly, Jalen Hurts look good, man. Jalen Hurts look nice. You know, it's funny. We always like Jalen Hurts on this podcast.
Mhm.
That was like that's a quarterback that me and you both kind of like. Yeah, you know, Jalen Hurts pretty nice. And I like to see Jalen Hurts do well because I have no connections to the Philadelphia Eagles ever. We played them like once every 10 years, so like whatever. And I mean, hey man, do you think Jalen Hurts?
Yeah. I agree. The Eagles are looking really good right now, and honestly, I don't believe in the Cardinals. Never really have. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles on this one. And want to address this comment real quick. Yes, Joe. I had brain surgery, and I'm still a Bengals fan afterwards. Fuck you, first of all. Second of all, oddly enough, that actually happened at the exact same time that the whole Carson Palmer situation erupted. Like, I was actually in the hospital when he said that when he was like, I'm not coming back next year, trade me. Like, that whole thing started while I was in the hospital, and I kind of came out. I came out back into the world and trying to face reality and everything, and that's happening. And I'm like, what? I wake up to this?
Cal, man, I love your resilience and your ambition, man. Still not sold on Jalen Hurts. Interesting.
Hurts is great.
That Philly defense is solid. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like Hurts. I can't. I disagree with that one.
Let me say this about those Oklahoma quarterbacks. No, I got nothing bad to say about Oklahoma quarterback. Oh, I really don't. The only thing I hold Kyler Murray back, he needs to be a little taller. He was taller. Jalen Hurts.
What does Jalen Hurts have to do with Oklahoma?
Didn't he play for Oklahoma?
No, he played for Alabama.
Yeah, but then he transferred to Oklahoma, right?
Did he transfer to Oklahoma?
Yeah. He played for Oklahoma after Kyler Murray, right?
I thought he played somewhere else.
He played for Alabama.
You could be right.
Because he lost his job to Tua, right?
Yeah, he lost his job too, and then he did transfer to Oklahoma. Okay, stupid. I'm stupid. Ignore me.
And he went off in Oklahoma.
I'm an NFL guy, not a college guy.
Nah, I mean, me either.
I'm joking.
I just remember that.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well,
that was a rough time, but it was a long time ago too. It was like 11 years ago at this point.
Well, we're happy to have you today.
Yep.
All right, let's get through these predictions. We got to get to the AFC North because I really want to talk shit about the Steelers and the Ravens.
Yep. Well, we only have 3 games left to go, so let's go ahead and speed through them. But first game's the Steelers going to Buffalo to play the Bills.
Bills.
Yep, Bills. All right. That's
Pittsburgh.
Like Pittsburgh sucks. Like, and there's honestly not much to analyze here. The Steelers are very bad.
I mean, we talk shit about Pittsburgh all the time. Fire Mike Tomlin. #. Let's get going.
It ain't happening. We'll talk about that in the state of the AFC North in a second. But next we got the Chargers and the Browns.
Give me the Browns.
I'm gonna.
You know what?
What?
Give me. We got 2 winnable games this week. This week and next week, 2 winnable home games. We got to win at least one. But give me the Browns this week. I really do think that we could beat this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Browns are going to beat the Chargers. Like I said, it's strength versus strength, and it's like the Browns' biggest weakness is the Chargers' biggest weakness. So, I mean, I think the only thing is I'm just not sure how I feel about Tyrod. Not Tyrod. What's his name? Jacoby. I don't know how I feel about Jacoby.
I know that's the only thing that's holding me back too. If I'm being real with you, is that I don't trust him. Well, under a minute left in the clock, the Browns have to get off to a league, and they have to put the game in the next Big Chubb hand or to win this game.
The thing is, if you're basing it off a quarterback, who do you take, Justin Herbert or Jacoby Brissett? And I mean, I know we shit a lot on Justin Herbert, but he's way better than Jacoby Brissett.
He's way better.
Well. So I just that's my only thing. But I do think the Browns as a team are, poised to beat a team like the Chargers. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I could become I won't be eating that much crow because you're also picking the Browns, and obviously you'll be a whole lot more butthurt about it than I will. But I admit that this is a tight game. This is a tight pick, but I do think that the Browns are poised to win this one. I think this is a game that the Browns are set up to win.
Thank you. Look, Kyle, I love the podcast with you because you don't just throw dabs at me for being a Browns fan.
I mean, I definitely throw definitely trash talk plenty, but I'm also realistic too.
You throw like a right hook, but you don't throw a right hook, a left hook, you don't kick you in the nuts like Steelers fans. They'd be like, ugh. It'd be a pretty. It'd be a pretty.
I don't think we would have made it to 114 episodes if we were like that. Like, I mean, this is a trash talking thing, but it ain't like a hateful thing,
Well, we trash talk, but we trash talking reason. Like,
right. And plus we're like really good friends too. So I mean, like, why would I do that to my friend?
I mean, I could have been an asshole when Joe Burrow got injured a couple years ago. I didn't. First, because I love Joe Burrow. I love it.
I was in a. If y'all want to see me in a very dark place, by the way, go back and watch those old episodes from when Joe Burrow got hurt. I was not doing. I was not okay. I was not okay when that happened.
That was needed this summer, man. I'm sorry this summer. You would have got very I don't know how I would react this summer. I don't think it would be good reactions at all.
Well, we did get one episode in, and that was that, and that just happened to be like the moment that you knew that like you were going to get Deshaun Watson. So, and then bigger news broke after that, and I think we still would have gotten a very like tense Thomas, but we happened to pick the 1 week where things were actually going good for you.
You know what's crazy? I'm never going to forget that episode that we did in like late December last year where I was like, yo, the Brown, I like that. Okay,
but hold on for a minute. 34-20 is not a shootout. That's just a decisive Browns win. It's not a shootout.
That's a 50-point game. In an NFL where there's not a lot of offense, that's
total.
A 50-point game, man.
In NFL, there's not a lot of offense. What are you talking about? Offense dominates right now. A 54-point game total, that's not a lot in today's
NFL.
The Chargers only making it to 20 points is not a shootout. That's just the Browns' dominant victory, 34-20. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout. I do think the Browns are going to win, but I think it's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be like more like 24-20 rather than 34-20. But
hey, look at these Bengals.
Yeah, last game to predict. We got the Bengals traveling to Baltimore to play the Ravens. What do you think?
What, the Ravens lost 6 straight home games dating back to last year?
5. I'm going to reveal my pick now and just say it'll be 6 this weekend.
It will be 6.
Yeah. Bengals, I think this is another one of those situations where I think, it's like strength versus strength and strength versus weakness. The Bengals passing game is going to obliterate the Ravens secondary. Just like they did the last 2 years. Well, the last 2 games from last year. But you know what I'm saying. Joe was asking what the spread is. I mean, from the spread from who? Like every organization has a different spread, but I guess according to USA Today, the spread is the Ravens are favored by 3.5 points, which I think is ridiculous. But it's also at home, and the Ravens. The Ravens' offense has generally looked better than the Bengals this year, so I kind of get it.
I can't believe it's not butter spread. By the way, I used to think I can't believe it's not butter with butter because I didn't understand the double negative there. So I thought it was a double negative. I thought it was it's butter, but I can't believe. Wait, hold up, no. See, okay, I thought that I can't believe it's not butter meant that it was butter, but it just feels like it's not butter. That's what I thought it meant. Not, I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, but it's a double negative. I did not understand double negatives for a long time in life. I'm still struggling with it. Okay.
You and your food topics, Thomas. But yeah, so we got our picks locked in. We'll talk about them on what is it, Monday? I think talk about how the picks went on Monday. But let's go ahead and get out of here. The thing is, I'm going to kill that thing. Let's go ahead and talk about. Let's real quick go through the state of the AFC North because I am super late right now, but I do have a couple of things I want to talk about real quick. So,
okay.
You were talking earlier about John Harbaugh potentially getting fired. A lot of Ravens fans are calling for it right now, especially what's happened over the last 2 weeks. I don't think that's going to happen though, because I think John Harbaugh. I think the Ravens are going to let him have a bad year because, the Ravens have made the playoffs 3 years in a row and they won a playoff game last year. So I think it'd be a bit silly to fire the guy because if they have a bad year this year. I think he's allowed a mulligan.
Okay. Look, I think John Harbaugh is a good coach. He's a coach in Pittsburgh though. Also, didn't they miss playoffs last year?
No.
They had the same record as the Browns, right?
Something like that. But they made the playoffs. They won a playoff game too against the Titans. Remember that?
2 years ago against the Titans. And they danced on their logo. That's hilarious. Danced on their logo. I remember that dude. They went to the 50-yard line and just started dancing on that logo. They started doing all kinds of dances on your logo. Like, fuck your logo, Titans.
Wow. People
last year
don't listen to me, y'all. I don't know what I'm talking about. Thomas is right. The Ravens did miss the playoffs last year, but still, 3 years before that, they made the playoffs. And John Harbaugh's career in Baltimore has mostly been making the playoffs. So it's I think, if the Ravens need to rebuild a little, I think that's okay. Now, I think Ravens fans are also thinking, oh, you're wasting Lamar Jackson. But it's just man, if you fire Harbaugh and get a new coach, you're rebuilding. You're gonna waste Lamar Jackson no matter what. I just think it's silly personally.
Oh, Lamar Jackson's a future Giant. What you mean?
See, there you go. That's what I'm saying. He's gonna be gone. But I think the only reason that's actually might be the only reason why maybe it makes sense to move on from Harbaugh because if you're thinking that you might not have Lamar Jackson next year, then you're let's just blow it all up anyway.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know, it just seems a little silly to me to fire Harbaugh after 1 year that was full of injuries and then, they're, having issues this year. That just seems silly to me.
Harbaugh's not a bad coach, but I think that coach in Pittsburgh is bad though.
Well, speaking of Pittsburgh, first of all, Mike Thomas not getting fired, Thomas. I've already explained why.
Why can't they fire that man?
Because they're the Steelers. They don't do that. That's just who they are. They don't fire coaches.
Fine. Don't fire Thomas.
Maybe they should. I'm not arguing whether they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying they won't.
Kenny Pickett's going to be a bust.
That's actually what I do want to talk about here. So I've been getting killed by Steelers fans all week for my perspective when I was saying Kenny Pickett did not look good in this game. I'm not even saying he's gonna be a bust. I think it's way too early to definitively say something like that. But he definitely did not look good in his first game. And Steelers fans have been killing me for that perspective. They're like, "Whoa, the interceptions weren't his fault." And it's okay, now hold on a minute. People ask me, did you even watch the game? The interceptions weren't his fault. And I'm like, did you watch the game? Because the one interception to Chase Claypool, that early in the third quarter, the first interception that Kenny Pickett threw, that one was not necessarily his fault. Chase Claypool tried to clamp the ball down with his hands. It didn't work out. That was Chase Claypool's fault. But the other two interceptions were totally Kenny Pickett's fault. Now, the final interception of the game that was on the interception that was on the final play of the game, it's okay, it's the final play of the game. You're throwing it up. You're just kind of asking for a prayer at that point. I understand why you're not concerned about that one. But at the same time, he overthrew George Pickens. Like, that's the reason that ball got intercepted, is because he overthrew George Pickens. And yeah, you're kind of throwing it up hoping for a prayer, but at the same time, you're also hoping for a little bit of accuracy because he overthrew it. It's not like he underthrew it, he overthrew it. So you're hoping for a little bit of accuracy there, and he just didn't show it. And that ball got picked off by LaMarcus Joyner because there were 2 Jets players down there, and you had an opportunity to get George Pickens the ball, but it was too far for him. And then the other play, the other one was like totally his fault. He threw it deep into double coverage, like the one to Pat Freiermuth. That was definitely Kenny Pickett's fault. So yeah, 2 of those 3 interceptions were totally Kenny Pickett's fault. And it's like, is he allowed to have a bad game as a rookie? Yeah, I think he is. It's his very first game. He might be fine. I'm not saying it's the end of the world or anything like that, but I am saying realistically that was a bad first game for him.
I mean, look. Maybe, book's still on. It's too early to call it. But, I mean, here's the thing, though. What, like 24, 25? Like, he should be hitting the ground rolling. Played college for 6 years. It's not like he was not having a season.
He is 24.
24.
24.
SpongeBob, what's funnier than 24? 25.
I think Joe Burrow was 25 when he.
Joe Burrow came in the league throwing dimes.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was also pretty old, but it's fine because he took a little bit longer to get ready to be an NFL player in college. But the thing is, when he got ready, he got ready.
I mean, I don't know, man. I get Kenny Pickett because I didn't think he would be a bust for the game. I just thought he'd be. Sorry. Before he played, I didn't think he'd be a bust. We had drafted. I was like, yeah, maybe he might do something. But I kind of just been growing stouter on him, partially from what I've been hearing from camp to. Yeah, no, I just don't think he's gonna be that good.
I mean, I think he's in a tough situation. I think the Steelers are not the kind of place that you want to go to develop as a quarterback right now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I definitely don't think he's going to be great. I think if I had to bet, I think Kenny Pickett's probably going to be like a Joe Flacco type. He's he's going to be decent. If the Steelers can put a really good team around him, then he could. He might do something good with his career, but he's not gonna he's not gonna be leading anybody anywhere either. Like I think Kenny Pickett's gonna be very much. I think his career is going to mirror, or his potential right now. I think mirrors what Joe Flacco's potential was. And I mean, honestly, if the Ravens hadn't put a really good team around Joe Flacco early in his career, I mean, there's no way you could sit here and say, Joe Flacco was the reason they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, he played great in the playoffs, but he did not play that great in the regular season that year. They kind of made the playoffs despite him being kind of like a mid quarterback, and then he just went insane in the playoffs. It's kind of like Eli Manning,
Yeah, and I don't think that Kenny Pickett has a good environment. I don't trust his offensive coordinator. I think that Steelers has arrogant and this self-crowning mysticism where Tom let the players do what they want. I just think Steelers are going to be, at the very least, he might not be a bust, but the Steelers are going to be bad. They're going to be very.
Oh, the Steelers bad. Are definitely going to be bad.
It's going to be fun to watch them get blown out by the Bills.
I'm thinking max 5 wins this year, honestly. You know what? Actually, I don't want to do it right now because we're already almost an hour and a half into this podcast. But maybe next episode, on the state of the AFC North, we can go game by game and do some actual predictions on what the Steelers record is going to be this year. Because that's one of the things we would have done in the off season, and then obviously, you and I had a lot of trouble doing episodes in the off season. But I'm actually kind of curious because off the top of my head, I haven't analyzed the schedule, but off the top of my head, the Steelers feel like a 5-win team to me right now.
I just can't wait to watch the Steelers.
Fair enough.
That means they get a high draft pick. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of sucks about it, but You know.
I just thought about that. There's some good quarterbacks coming out the draft next year. No,
well, okay, but they're not going to take a quarterback, Thomas. They're committed to Kenny Pickett. Like at least for a couple of years.
Okay, I'm relaxed. Go ahead, lose Pittsburgh. I'm good. Go ahead, lose Pittsburgh.
I mean, they might get like a really good offensive lineman or something, which they need, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the upcoming draft class other than the quarterbacks. Like now I got really scared for a minute. I had this thought the other day. I was just kind of walking around and I kind of thought about something. I'm like, oh God, no. I was worried because I'm like, man, the Steelers are going to be really bad. Oh man, that means they're going to have a high draft pick. What's their biggest need right now? They kind of need like a quarterback situation's pretty bad. Oh God, what if they take Will Levis? Oh no. Because you know what happened the last time Kentucky had a like a top quarterback prospect in the draft, Thomas?
Yeah, it took Ben Roethlisberger.
No, Kentucky, not the Steelers.
Kentucky.
The last time Kentucky had a top quarterback in the draft.
Tim Couch?
Yeah, it was Tim Couch, and y'all ruined him. And so I swear to God, if the Steelers go draft Will Levis, which they're not going to because they have Kenny Pickett, but if the Steelers were to go draft Will Levis and then ruin him, I would riot. I'm sick and tired of seeing my freaking Kentucky quarterbacks go into like these terrible AFC North rival teams and just having terrible careers because they're surrounded by terribleness.
Nah, he's going to Carolina. Yo, by the way, even I'm not really worried about what the Steelers do because, like, you shouldn't be easier because at the end of the day, you got Joe Burrow and we got Deshaun. So I mean, like,
I'm not worried about like what's gonna happen with the Steelers. Like, I mean, like I'm confident in what the Bengals are going to be in the future, regardless of what the Steelers do. That wasn't my worry. My worry was like, oh God, what if they draft my quarterback? Which, you know, not Joe Burrow, but what if they draft my college quarterback? Like, that doesn't make me feel. They've already drafted a couple Kentucky players and made me be like when they took Benny Snell and they took what's his name? The guy who's on the Titans now.
Oh,
the edge rusher. God, I can't remember his name now. He was like a first round draft pick for him. Bud Dupree. So when they took Benny Snell and when they took Bud Dupree, I was mad, dude. I was like, no, because I was so excited about what Bud Dupree was going to be in the NFL and be like, yeah, out here representing Kentucky. And then the Steelers took it, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. And Benny Snell too. Like, I thought Benny Snell was going to be like, you know, something else, and then he went to the Steelers, and he did okay for them, but that's not okay that he did okay. You know, fuck the Steelers.
yeah,
and I'm not a big
this.
college football human, but I am a big, you know, University of Kentucky human. And I'm not okay with, you know, the thought of that happening. But I think you're right. I think Will Levis is probably going to go to like the Panthers, and honestly, he's probably not going to do great with the Panthers either. But then again, you never know. Matt Rule could get fired. They could bring in a new coach who's actually good, and you know, Will Levis goes to a Panthers team and helps them rebuild and turn things around. I'd like to see that because I
really want to see Baker rebound, man. I really want to see that guy rebound.
I would love to see Baker rebound. I don't know if it's going to happen with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Like, if it doesn't happen this year with the Panthers, it's not going to happen with the Panthers. I hope because what's going to happen is the Panthers are going to be bad, and then Matt Rule's going to get fired, and then, you know, the new regime's going to want to bring in their guy, and that's not Baker Mayfield. So it could be somebody like Will Levis or Bryce Young or something like that. And Baker's probably going to go to a new team, and I mean, you know, he'll probably be a backup, and then he might get a chance to you know, be a starter again at some point. And I hope he succeeds wherever he goes, as long as it's not the Steelers. You know what, Thomas? You know what's crazy? I just thought about this. You're going to hate me for saying this, but you know how you keep saying that like Lamar Jackson's going to the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Baker could go to the Ravens.
Damn, I could really see that happening.
Like, yikes.
I could legit, like, I'm just sitting here thinking about it. I could legit see that happening. And the thing is, though,
what if he's good?
I think Harbaugh will be the perfect coach for Baker.
Oh, man. What if he's good too?
Damn, that's fucking with me.
Yeah.
We got Deshaun Watson, thank God. Damn, that's kind of fucking.
I mean, I was worried there for a second that Andy Dalton was going to go to the Steelers. And then I remembered Andy Dalton's actually a good human being, so he's, pretty much he's staying. It appears to me that Andy Dalton's partially picking his team based on who's playing the Bengals that year, like in one game. But he's also not going to the quarterback needy teams of the AFC North and of like rival teams to the Bengals. He's going to the NFC, and he's just picking NFC teams that are playing the Bengals. It seems that might not even be what he's doing. It just seems like he's doing that. But I was worried there for a second he was going to go to the Steelers, and I was like, no, you can't do that, Andy. But he didn't. He didn't because he's a good human being.
By the way, I don't know for a fact that Mark Jackson is going to the Giants or not. I just been basing my information off rumors because when players switch team, every single time a player switch team, they leave a paper trail. They always leave a paper trail leading up to the moment they leave. There's always a paper trail. There was a paper trail leading Deshaun Watson up to the Browns. Like I said in December, I'm like, hey, exact words. The Browns might be looking for a new quarterback this offseason. And one of those options might be Deshaun Watson. And you said, quote, Thomas, no thank you. I was like, but whatever. New York Times article. I read a New York Times article said that the Browns are doing our research on Deshaun Watson. And it just screamed to me, there's some things here. There are some things here that just scream to me that Deshaun Watson is going to, and I just had this gut feeling all offseason. Like, I haven't tweeted about it. I was like, this is my gut feeling is telling me that Deshaun Watson is going to be a Brown. I don't know why. I don't know. I got a feeling it's going to happen. Like, just keep on just screaming to me that it's going to happen.
I will say that the other teams that were highly interested in Deshaun Watson included the Falcons, the Panthers, who was it? The Saints. So, I mean, honestly, out of those three teams, I think I'd play for the Browns too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And not only just that,
maybe the
Donovan Mitchell thing was pretty obvious too. The Donovan Mitchell thing was actually very obvious. The Donovan Mitchell thing was very obvious for the Cavs. They leave paper trails. You're like, all right, the Cavs have the most trade assets. They have the most to offer, and they have the most leverage. So when I look at the Giants, and the reason why people saying the Giants make the most sense for Lamar Jackson is because I look at the Giants, I'm like, well, the Giants got their coaching situation together. They look like a very well-coached team. They have the superstar running back who really isn't that old. They have a solid defense. It's up and down, but it's solid. It's a very solid defense. They have some weapons for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson will fit perfectly on that team. And Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson are best friends. And then you got Giants legend, who is Tiki Barber, I think his name is, or the other Barber. Anyway, comes out and say, or was it Michael Strahan that said it? Anyway, it was one of the Giants Hall of Famers said the Giants should make a move, and they're probably going to make a move this offseason to get a Pro Bowl quarterback, and they're going to pay big for him. Who's looking for a big payday next offseason? Lamar Jackson, who's a team that was willing to pay a whole bunch out of pocket for a quarterback. The Giants. It's just so perfect, man. It's so perfect. It's just so perfect. Giants just like a lid.
Giants paid big for Kenny Golladay too, and look how that worked out. Dude. I mean, that was one of the one of the big offseason stories that we missed this offseason. We got to find a way to do this next offseason, man, because we just missed so much this offseason. But one of the big stories we missed was there was all this there was a period of about I think 3, maybe 4 days where Bengals fans were convinced they were going to sign Kenny Golladay, and they were going crazy. They were like, "Oh, we're going to get Kenny Golladay," and they're doing Golladay hashtags and stuff like that. And he ended up going to the Giants. That was actually 2 off seasons ago. But point being, Kenny Golladay almost came to the Bengals, and like we were all getting really excited about it because he was the biggest, free agent of that year, except for I think Byron Jones, I think the cornerback who went to the Dolphins. But Kenny Golladay was definitely the biggest offensive guy, free agent that offseason. Bengals fans were like, we're going to get Kenny Golladay, and like getting all excited about it. And then we didn't get him, and Bengals fans are like, Mike Brown's cheap. He's not going to, pay the guy. And it's just like, that actually turned out to be a great decision. That would have been a gigantic waste of money. And we wouldn't have gotten guys like, Trey Hendrickson. We wouldn't have gotten guys like DJ Reader. And actually, I think we got DJ Reader the season before. But point being, Kenny Golladay sucks.
Yeah, you suck Kenny Golladay.
But then again, also, so Daniel Jones sucks too. So
I don't have nothing else. No, I think I want this.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got for tonight, though. I got to run to go pick my son up, but
yeah, you got right with that.
I'm like 15 minutes late already, and I haven't even left. But
yeah, I mean, hey man, look, my father never picked. Look, Kyle, it makes you feel better. My father never picked me up when I was a kid.
Yeah, my father picked me up late all the damn time.
I love you, Dad.
But but because of that, I'm trying not to be that guy. So but whatever. He'll deal with it. He'll like save up for a car or something, But anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I think. Yeah, Joe, you guys been going? Yeah, we've been going for about an hour and a half, man. We always ramble like crazy. That's part of the reason we started doing these live is because it's just so hard to edit, like some of this crazy stuff me and Thomas come up with. But thanks so much for watching, guys. You can always find more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Phelps, my YouTube channel, which is just Kyle Phelps. I call the show Welcome to the Jungle, but the channel is just Kyle Phelps. It's my name. And then Thomas, you can find more what he does at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram, and the Thomas J Network. Recently came out with a really, really quality, well-produced music video about Britney Spears. I was really impressed with some of that camera work and everything, man. That was.
Oh, thank you.
You got a good producer there. But yeah, go check him. Go check him out, man. It's the Thomas J Network. T-Star, go check out everything he's doing. Give him some, love and subscriptions and views and everything that he's looking for. And then go check out my stuff, man. So that's pretty much all I got, though. You got anything else, Thomas?
Nope. Go Browns.
All right. Yeah. Who dey? Oh, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? Because, I always forget to do this.